Spaghetti and meatballs is a classic and nostalgic dish, and on the internet you can find 1,000 ways to prepare it, with some of those recipes being focused on price because, let's be honest, these days that's getting more and more important. But does cheap also mean tasteless? Well, I want to find out. So today I'm trying something different. I'm breaking down and rating YouTube's top chefs' cheap recipes, just to see how good they really are and to see what changes I'd make just as the average Joe at home. And today we're going to take on the big papa of YouTube cooking himself, Josh Weissman, and his spaghetti and meatballs. I hope I said that name right.
Now, first thing is to talk about our spaghetti. You can absolutely make your own with some flour and eggs, but even as Josh mentions, without a fancy pasta roller or cutter, it might not turn out too great. Besides, we can use ready-to-go store-bought spaghetti for just as little as 80 cents for standard, or $2.50 for gluten-free, like in my household. Now, with that out of the way, let's get cracking on our juicy balls. First up to a bowl, we're going to add 123 grams of finely diced ham, which is 10 slices, costing $1.69. Josh uses mortadella in his recipe, with ham as the optional cheaper choice, which I absolutely agree with, here to save some money. Next up, we're going to get 500 grams of beef mince into the bowl, costing just $7. You can use a beef and veal blend, but the basic beef is good for the wallet and the meatballs flavor as well. Then optionally add 1 teaspoon or 2 grams of ground fennel. Hit this mix with a little bit of salt. Then in goes half a tablespoon of minced garlic, which is just 15 grams. This is another budget move here. Josh and many others will use fresh garlic, but a big jar of minced garlic is only $2.25. So the 1.5 tablespoons we're going to use for this recipe is only 20 cents. After the garlic, we'll then add a 1/4 cup of Parmesan, 30 grams for 72 cents. Be sure to add some pepper to taste. Then in goes half a cup of breadcrumbs, 45 grams, which I got from just toasting and blending a few pieces of bread, which breaks down to just 35 cents. Now to help bind it all together, a humble egg for 35 cents. Then next we're gonna get our hands nice and dirty by combining our mixture until we get one big ball. To portion this out, don't worry about buying an ice cream scoop. A measuring tablespoon does the job perfectly. Get your portion, roll it between your hands, and that will give you a perfect little ball. Work your way through all the mixture until you get 26 beautiful balls and head to the stove. To cook, get a pan on a high heat and then hit with a little bit of olive oil. Get in your balls and sear for 2 to 3 minutes per side. Now, word of warning from future me, be sure to wait a little longer than I did for the pan to heat up. I got a little impatient, so as you can see, the meatballs got a little stuck. But once we do get some color on each side, be sure to take the meatballs out, and then we're gonna add in the rest of our garlic from earlier. Cook this for 30 seconds, then add 1 teaspoon or 2 grams of chili flakes for 11 cents, cooking another 30 seconds or so. Then we'll pop in 1 large can of crushed tomatoes for $2, which we're gonna use to deglaze the pan. Also add a little bit of water to get all the tomatoes out of the can, give it a stir, and let it cook for about 10 minutes, stirring occasionally. Add a good amount of salt to taste, and a little bit of sugar to cut through the tartness of the tomatoes. Whilst this cooks, we can then get some heavily salted water on the stove, bring it to a boil, add in our spaghetti, and cook to packet instructions. This then is perfect timing to add some basil, which Josh uses a fresh bunch. But my basil plant was recently harvested, and I'm not going to go buy some more from the store, so I'm using 1 tablespoon of dried basil for 30 cents, which will be perfect. Mix through and then reintroduce the meatballs, cover with the sauce, and let it simmer away while the spaghetti finishes cooking. Then once it is, add it to the sauce, and add a little ladle of pasta water. Combine everything together, and then we can serve. And come on, check this out. This dish looks so good, and just look at how much it makes, it's unreal. This mountain of food is gonna make 4 solid portions for $3.43 each with standard spaghetti, or $3.85 for gluten-free. And that's pretty good if you ask me.
And of course it's delicious, and for just this much per portion, it's a winner for sure. Again, make those little adjustments so it's a little easier for the average Joe to do it, but well worth it. Great recipe, 10 out of 10, would have again. Oh,